right, what's going on, everybody? Goofy Rexy here. Hope everybody is doing well. And as we like to do every single patch, I want to talk about the patch priorities here for patch 6.5, right? So what characters should you be prioritizing on your roster? I think that make the most sense for this patch. I'm especially even considering things like leading into the next patch after that as well. So we're going to be going through that here in this video, and let's actually dive right on into it, right? So a couple of things to talk about. First and foremost is that we now know that Archangel is going to be the next Death Legendary Horseman, and in patch 6.6 that means that you're going to need to prepare for that Scourge that is going to be coming in that respective patch there, right? So how do you want to approach this? So there's a couple of things. We know now that for Node 5 and for Node 10, that the teams that are going to be required are going to be the Bionic Avengers, and then there's also going to be the Wakandans, right? So I think this, right? Most are probably already going to have their Bionic Avengers built up. So first and foremost, if you haven't built up a Bionic Avengers, you definitely should build them. They're very good in raids. They're also a Scourge team that you're going to be able to use for that Scourge to be able to unlock Archangel, right? I would say that probably the Bionic Avengers are going to be your main team. When the War Scourge, they kind of did okay, right? For that Avengers section in the War Scourge, you had the event characters that had the Avengers tag. I did see that the Young Avengers performed better, but the Bionic Avengers still did okay there as well. And I do think that because this is going to be the Scourge event where they are one of the main required teams, I think that they're going to be able to perform good enough to be able to get you through those nodes. I do think that that's probably I think basically a lot of it's going to come down to this as well. Like, do you have Hulkbuster unlocked? How high do you have your Hulkbuster? Really, that's kind of going to be what's going to carry this team here, or at least allow these other four characters to stay alive. So there's going to be a little bit to watch where that is concerned. But then the next consideration, right, apart from this, is also the Wakandans. Now, initially, if you had asked me coming to this patch, I would have said probably the Wakandans are skippable unless you are, or they're shovable, that's skippable, but unless you just really love the Wakandans and you just want to build them up, right? But I think if you're looking at the Wakandans, they are probably going to be the differentiator between you getting high rankings in the Scourge event, right? So everybody's going to have Bionic Avengers. Everybody's going to be using Bionic Avengers. So therefore, if you want to get higher rankings in your Scourge event, you're probably going to have to build your Wakandans to be able to get through those nodes and be able to do those higher difficulties and higher and more Scourges, right? So I think the Wakandans are definitely going to be a differentiator where that is concerned. Now, there are some new characters that are going to be a part of this Wakandan team. We have Black Panther 1mm, which looks as if, though, based on the data mines, is going to be the month-long event character. And then we have Nakia, who is going to be an event campaign character. Now, some interesting news that popped up on the release day, our patch notes here, we saw this Dogs of War, right? So power up your roster for Nakia's event campaign. So we know that Nakia is going to be an event campaign. Dogs of War is what this is going to be called. If you plan on battling through the heroic difficulty, you'll need a top squad. Originally it was just Wakandans, but now it's War Dogs. So essentially, players are gonna have to build up their War Dogs if they actually want to be able to get shards for Nakia, or if you want to be able to do the heroic difficulty, let me correct myself, you're going to have to build up your War Dogs. So, I mean, in a sense, I guess it kind of justifies you wanting to invest into this team. I don't know at this point, though, if it's going to, like, is it going to be that much of a differentiator in terms of the high rankings. It's probably going to come down to, hey, did you purchase the character and then do the event campaign, or did you wait to do the event campaign? It's gonna be stars or red stars are probably what's going to dictate it at the end of the day. But now I do think that the Wakandans, the War Dog team, does become a priority team for this patch just based on the event campaign. Also looking at the Scourge event, if you're looking to get some higher rankings there, I do think that the Wakandan team is going to be something that you're going to need to consider. The War Dog team is going to be something that you need to consider. Black Panther 1mm being a month-long event also does have some sort of, there is going to be some sort of concern as to whether or not you're going to be able to get him in time to be able to even do the event campaign for Nakia. This is just kind of just weird to me. We're going to probably find out some more information in the blog to help us to make a decision as to how we're going to be able to unlock a character like Nakia and Black Panther 1mm, right? But then we talk about the new team that's being introduced into Marvel, or another new team, the next new team that's being introduced into Marvel Strike Force here. That is going to be Archangel's team, called the DeathSeed team, right? So This team, of course, is featuring reworks to Magneto and then Psylocke. And of course, we're getting Dark Beast as a new character here. We don't know the release method of Dark Beast as of yet. So of course, we're gonna have to watch that, and hopefully there's some sort of free-to-play aspect to it. Where I don't know. I'm not liking the trend that we're going down, the road that we're going down now these days. Looking a little cray-cray. All right, but if you I would say this, like, technically you don't need to invest into DeathSeed this patch, right? Because Archangel's not coming out until next patch, which means that you're probably not going to want to use this team without having Archangel and an additional character who we don't know who that's going to be yet. So you can kind of technically pause a little bit on DeathSeed and not invest into them for this patch, and sort of kind of farm your gear and get it ready so that when the time comes around, when you need to invest or when you want to invest, so when you get Archangel, that you're going to be able to do so. You could also get ahead of the curve, right? Let's say that you don't really care about the Nakia event, doing the hero difficulty for the Nakia event campaign, or getting high ranks in Scourge. Then you can kind of get ahead of the curve, right? And then start to build out your DeathSeed team so that once Archangel does come into Marvel Strike Force, that all you need to do is just invest into Archangel and boom, you're ready to go for your Mutant Doom raids. So that's also another direction that you can go in as well. As it pertains to this patch, right? That's something that I would probably endorse. There's also the other aspect of this too, that most likely for your mutant section, and we've seen this so far as a trend in a lot of these Scourge events, for Pestilence Scourge, Morgan Le Fay, for Famine. Basically, once you unlock those legendary characters, you can use their teams in their respective Scourge events to be able to kind of get some higher scores and things like that in certain of those sections. Like, I know I use Gamma for my Bio section in the War Scourge. I use the Unlimited X-Men team, at least part of the Unlimited X-Men team, Gambit, Rogue, in the Mutant section for the Famine event on the second run, right? So there's definitely that added sort of value that you can get out of this team. Although, of course, if you've already built up your Unlimited X-Men, you can probably just use them in that mutant section, unless they decide to change up how they do the sections in terms of traits and like that. We'll have to see how that works sort of out in the future. And then that brings us to this team right here, right? The Undying team. I promised you I do know how to spell. Here we go. This brings us to the Undying team, and you're just like, all right, well, what the hell do I do with this, right? Iron Man Zombies event is disheartening as a heck. I'm gonna try not to get salty, but it's really bad, right? And there even right now, there's concerns that free-to-play players probably won't even be able to unlock Zombie Iron Man, because if you're depending on 6 days of farming, 6 days of where you only get 1 ore per day for this event, you could get bare minimum drops of only 6 shards and then not be able to unlock Zombie Iron Man. Really, really, really trash event. However, from my understanding, from what people have told me, from what people have done so far, I've heard that Zombie Iron Man at low stars, I've seen some screenshots here with like a 600k Zombie Iron Man with Hela and 3 Tangled Web characters punching up big against like some 1 million teams, 1.2 million teams, a 300k Undying team punching up against a million teams. So Zombie Iron Man seems to be good at low stars. So if you do get 2 stars, or if you're only able to get 2 stars on unlock him, even if you don't have the red stars on him, it looks as if though he is performing pretty well. However, with that being said, they are not a priority team in my opinion. Will they have a place in the game? Yeah, probably. They're probably going to be good they're going to be great in Alliance War. They're probably going to be good in Cosmic Crucible. There's going to be value and usage there. And there are some concerns that Iron Man Zombie may potentially be a strike team character for Apocalypse, but I do think that they would have probably announced that already, although they didn't announce that the DPCs needed for him. So I mean, I guess we shouldn't say that. However, I'm gonna go on the notion and feel that this is probably not gonna be a strike team character. However, I do think that because of the event, because of the way that he's been released, it kind of dictates, in my opinion, whether or not it's worth investing into this character right now. But of course, you know, being that we know that after the initial release that we won't be able to get another opportunity to get more additional shards for Iron Man Zombie until next year, it does kind of create that FOMO, but I'm just not sure if I can endorse that FOMO and encourage anyone to go that hard on it, right? It's just kind of It's not within me to do that. Listen, these are my thoughts, guys. What are your thoughts on everything here? Who are you prioritizing this patch? I've heard a lot of people who are just like, homie, I'm gonna work on my DeathSeed team. That's it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm working on my DeathSeed team. Not really overly concerned right now about the War Dogs team. I'll get what I get and I'll move on. But I'm prioritizing raids, right? And I completely understand and I get that, and I don't fault you for that. That actually makes a lot of sense. Me personally, I'm gonna be going pretty hard on the War Dogs team, but that's for me is 100% just a passion project team. My Bionic Avengers are already at level 85. We'll get them to level 90 in this patch as well. So War Dogs, Bionic Avengers for me to get to level 90. War Dogs to level 85 and probably Gear Tier 15, at least Black Panther, 1mm and probably Black Panther, maybe even the Kid because of that high buku crazy damage. But other than that, DeathSeed for me is probably going to be a team I'm going to work on in patch 6.6. Listen, want to know what your guys' thoughts are? I rambled on there for the last like minute and a half, which you probably didn't really need to know that information. Either way, if you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when the videos do go live. Share the video as well. All the things I'm talking about, comments in, liking and subscribing, that helps the YouTube algorithm, helps to make sure that this video get pushed out here. So definitely would appreciate that support from that perspective. But listen, love you guys much. Appreciate you guys watching the video. Until next time, y'all be blessed. Y'all be safe. Bye.